Okay, so we are here today for a healthy challenge catch up, and the title of today's call is Healthy Tongue. We got to make sure that we remain healthy with everything that happens inside our mouth. Now, before we go into that, let's recap what we looked at over the last sort of 7 days. We have been looking at the healthy goals. We talked about goals last week, having healthy goals. We also have been looking at having a healthy body inside our chat. We've been, working out every day and making sure that we are holding ourselves accountable. We've been having a look at healthy accountability. So yesterday's task inside the chat was to speak with your accountability partner and to help tell them where you're up to and what you're currently doing. Put a 7 in the chat if you did that. Okay, I want to make sure that we're all up to date with our homework. All right, and very, very important, we have been making sure that we are remaining on track for the goals that we've set ourselves out. We also wrote down 5 goals that we have for ourselves, okay, that we're really intentional about going through. And we're going to break down today how, we broke it down last time, the what, the how much, and by when, to make sure we have really good, solid goals. And we've done quite a lot of work in 7 days. And how many of you enjoyed unleashing the gift on the inside of you with that 29-minute training clip that we had inside the chat? How many of you did day 4, video 1? Any of you on the call? That really spoke volumes. I listen to that every single year. Okay, it's something that I kickstart my year with. You love the clip as well, Panama. I do too. I love it. I watch it every single year. And so we're doing the work, okay? We're making sure that we're doing the work. So tonight, we're looking at healthy tongue. How many of us, one of the things for me, I used to swear. Oh my gosh, I used to swear a lot. Anybody on here swear? I used to swear a lot, right? And one day I was out with some friends and, you're always filming stuff and blah, blah. And they sent back a video and I heard myself swearing and I cringed. Has that happened to anyone? That's what's got me to stop swearing instantly. I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds horrible. It's disgusting. I couldn't stand the way I sounded. And overnight, I stopped swearing, guys. But what else, how else can our tongue damage us? Come on, let's talk. Especially if you're a lady on the call. I'm seeing all ladies. Where the men at? Men haven't showed up today, but it's an all-woman call, so we can talk. We can talk on here. How else can our tongue get us into trouble? Let's see. Talk way too much. Yes, Michelle. We talk down on ourselves. Yes, Violet. Negative talk about our body and images. Yes, Marsha. All of that. Sometimes oversharing, Ashley. Come on now. Come on. Let me tell you this. Biblically, I tell you this biblically. You see, before when the lady said that, remember she said her child was dead and she called Jesus to heal the child. And what did Jesus do? Jesus got everybody outside the room before he did what he needed to do. Not everybody needs to see your miracle. Not everybody needs to know your miracle. Not everybody needs to know your business, your intimate side. Not everyone needs to know when you're sick. Not everyone needs to know when you have some dead situations going on in your life. Come on now. Sometimes we negative self-talk, gossiping, talking about issues over and over, just relieving it and causing more pain. Yes, going over the negativity. Now, let me talk to you guys, why it is very, very important to make sure that we have a healthy tongue, okay? It is very important to make sure, because remember, faith comes by hearing. And so whatever we speak out of our mouth, we are the very first people that hear it, right? Faith comes by what, guys? Let's make sure we're all keeping up to date and we are on top of this. Faith comes by hearing. Now we're going to get, hopefully we can finish on time with this call because I have so much to unpack with you guys. I had a revelation yesterday. I was speaking to my girl, what's up, Violet? I couldn't control it. It's like I was about to talk in tongues, okay? Faith comes by hearing, okay? Faith comes by hearing. And we said last week the faith was a verb. Faith is a doing word. Faith is taking action. So the only time you take action is based on what you hear. And what you hear is based on what you're speaking and who you're around. So we're going to unpack relationships as well on tonight's call, okay? Relationships have a big thing to do with whether we achieve our goals or not. Because how many of you will agree that when we're not feeling good and when we're feeling down and when we're not in a great place, guess what happens, ladies and gents? We don't take massive action, which then results in us not achieving our goals. So we really want to make sure that we get to the root of this, because when we're going into the relationship side, that's going to unpack a whole lot, right? But what we want to do now is we really want to have a look at this. This is the revelation I got, guys. Bear with me. I want to take it slowly. All right. You with me, Brenda? You feeling it? All right, cool. Excellent. So we have faith comes by hearing. Faith comes by hearing. And the word says that a lot of people will hear, the ears will hear, but they have not heard. The ears will hear, but they have not heard. Now, I don't know if you guys have that person in your family or had the grandma, great grandma figure who was that person that always used to tell you about scripture. Well, my grandma is the woman that for the last 30 odd years of my life has been telling me to read Psalms 91. And so I've read it. I know it. She always used to say it to me. I don't know if your grandparents have a certain scripture they always used to tell you, but one of mine, my grandma said, never leave the house without reading that Psalms 91. Always read Psalms 91, read Psalms 91. And so I read Psalms 91. But how many of you know that you can see, but you don't see, right? That's the word. The word says that. They will see, but they don't see. They will hear, but they haven't heard. And so I realized yesterday that I was seeing, but I didn't see. And when it hit me yesterday, I said, no, we got to teach on this. We got to teach. How many of you have been in an environment where you're telling your friends, you're saying all these things about your business, your life, you're telling all these things, and they're hearing you, but they're not really hearing you? Or maybe it's your spouse. You've told them so many times, make sure you put the clothes over there, or make sure you do this. They hear you, but they didn't hear you, right? And so there is times when we are hearing information and we haven't heard it. Because the ear is not for hearing. The ear is a gateway for the information to get to your heart. Go with me on this, guys. The ear is a gateway for the information to get through into your heart. Remember, the word says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. That means that you can hear, but it doesn't get to your heart. This is why some people don't achieve their goals. Why? Because some people, what they do, they hear it, because they've said it out their mouth that I'm going to go, I'm going to go director, Ashley. I'm going to go diamond, or I'm going to go, I'm going to get a promotion at work, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. They say the word, so they're hearing the word, but the goal hasn't got into their heart. So that's why they don't take massive action. That's why they don't go out and do what they need to do. And so I was there and I'd heard the word. I've been hearing the word for years. And it stood out to me in Psalms 91, where it said, 1,000 on your left and 10,000 on your right, but none shall come nigh you. So it says 1,000 will come at you on your left. 10,000 are going to die on the right, but none shall come nigh you. Now, I want you to understand this, because my understanding previously was like, okay, nothing can't touch me. I'm untouchable. I took it from that angle. I was like, eh. The old me was like, why? All right. Nothing cannot touch me, because the word says 1,000 on your left, 10,000 on your right, but none, someone type none, zero, zilch will come nigh you. This is 91, right? And that's the old me was saying, okay, nothing can't touch me, nothing can't touch me. I was in a mode of celebration. I was like, yeah, nothing can't touch me. Wait. But I missed it. That it said 1,000 on my left and 10,000 on my right. What does that mean? 10 and 1 is 11. So that's 11,000 potential obstacles, 11,000 attacks, 11,000 arrows coming at me, 11,000 situations. Guys, I hate to be the bearer of bad news now. I hate to tell you, but when it said 11,000, listen, 1,000 on your left, 10,000 on your right, but none shall come nigh you. This is a warning to say to you, don't think everything's going to be plain sailing. There are going to be obstacles. Now, even Job didn't have 11,000 coming to him. So when Job was like, hold up now, God, please, 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 Lord, please, please, like, how much more? Hold on, really? If you ain't had 11,000 situations, if you haven't had 11,000 obstacles, if you haven't had these things happening, I'm letting you know that the moment you open your mouth and say you're going for a goal, right? That is an automatic release of these arrows that should be coming towards you. Now, I'm sorry to tell you the bad news, but they're coming. If they're not there already, they're on its way. And if you've just overcame one, don't worry, there's more coming. So guess what we have to make sure that we do is we keep a healthy tongue. You see, it says life and death is in what? In the power of the tongue. Life and death is in the power of the tongue, not the hands. You think your hand can stop somebody? It didn't say in the hands. It said the tongue. Because word is seed. Word is seed. So whatever I say out of my mouth, you see, when we start to come with the adversity and things start to come and we start saying, oh no, this is too much for me. Oh no, I don't do this. Oh no, I didn't do well. I'm not going to do well. And oh no, I'm shy. Oh no, I can't do this. Oh no, this situation's too heavy for me. Oh no, listen, if the situation is too heavy for you, let me just break it down. Let me just break it down, because I had to learn to control my mouth, because guess what? The bigger the battle. Oh no. You guys maybe think I'm going crazy. Let me tell you this. When the bigger the battle, the tougher the battle, the bigger the giant. So if you're saying that it's too big for you, that you can't handle no more, that this is too much, guess what you're saying? Guess what you're saying to your victory? Guess what you're saying to the thing that you're supposed to be, your blessing that's on the way? Because you can't have one without the other, ladies and gents. So you want to make sure that your tongue, sometimes, especially us ladies, we are our own worst enemies, because we are the ones that curse ourselves. We're the ones that start to speak as if we don't see. Listen, speak only what you seek. You know, one of the things that I realized that I do is I was one of those people that apologized for everything. I used to apologize and sorry. I'm saying sorry for things. Why am I saying sorry? Why am I saying I'm saying sorry for things that I haven't even done? Instead, you know, I used to be like, sorry, I'm late. And you guys may think that's crazy, because if you're late, say sorry. No. I say, thank you for waiting. Thank you for your patience. Like, I don't even, like, I turn everything into a positive. Some of us, we don't even realize how negative we are. You know, I was reading this book. What was it? No, it wasn't a book. It was an Instagram reel. It was like a 30-second reel. And a guy was interviewing one of the richest men in the world. And he says, what's your, how do you know how to hire somebody? Like, what's your criteria? And he says, one of the things I look for is when I first meet that person, if they're positive or negative. If I meet that person and go, the traffic was crazy. Oh, it's raining outside. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry I'm late. It was just terrible outside. And they're complaining about the weather. I don't care what certificates they have. I don't care what company they're in. I will not hire them. This is one of the richest men in the world saying this. How many of us know that we got to make sure that we are very careful with what it is that we speak out of our mouth, that we have to be intentional. A lot of people think I'm so picky because I correct every negative word that comes to me. If somebody's speaking to me and they're negative, I'm like, I correct them. I correct that. I don't do negativity. I don't want to speak it out of my mouth. Sometimes, I'll be honest, I have broke moments and it slips and I correct myself. We have to be in a place where we can correct ourselves. But this now leaks into our relationship techniques, who we're hanging around. A lot of people say, well, Nikki, you don't need relationship techniques. We can just have relationships. No, you got to be intentional with your relationship. Would you like me to give you some techniques that's going to help you build stronger relationships? Would you like me to give you some techniques that's going to enable you to have the right relationships? Would you like me to give you some techniques? I got five tips for you on building these relationships. But let me tell you this, when I got this word yesterday, I was like, pow. Pow. So I'm reading Psalm 91 and I'm like, 1,000 on my left, 10,000 on my right. That's 11,000. So I got to be prepared for 11,000. None will come nigh me, but I just got to be aware that these 11,000 isms and schisms potentially could be coming my way, right? And some of us are confused when we see the odd, situation come up. It's coming. And so I'm looking at Psalms 91. This thing is bothering me. There we go. I'm looking at Psalms 91. And it starts, those of you that know the word, it starts with, how does it start, guys? He who dwells under the shadow of the Almighty. He who dwells, right? And I was telling the guys yesterday, the word dwells, because I looked up dwells. Okay, I looked up the word dwells, and dwells, that word means permanently reside. So it says he who dwells under the shadow of the Almighty. Yeah, see, dwelling means permanently residing in. Now, let's go to Joshua 1, where Joshua 1 says, right? Joshua 1, it says that God says to him, I will be with you always, right? So in one breath, we're hearing God saying, I will be with you always. But then in another breath, we're hearing him say, but he who dwells under the shadow of the Almighty. So how can you be with me always and I still have to dwell? So you can be with me always, but I still have to dwell under your shadow. Now, oh my gosh, let me just break it down to you guys so you understand relationship, yeah? He's saying that, guess what? Hey, I'm here for you always. I'm here always. But sometimes you ain't, remember, dwelling is permanently residing. So you have to permanently reside in me too. I can be here for you. Oh, you guys don't get it. So let's think about a relationship. Have you ever been in a relationship where you've been there for him? You've been there for him. You're there always for him. But he don't seem to dwell. He ain't dwelling around you though, right? So God is saying, listen, you need to be a permanent resident. And he's not saying a lot of the time we feel like we need to know everything. We need to know every word. We need to know everything. We need to know every complete. Like, how many of us put things off because we say we don't know enough? That was me. I was like, God, I don't know the Bible like them. I don't speak like them, because when I break down the Bible, I talk in ghetto terms. Like when I'm talking about Adam and Eve and how they, did that, and I'm talking about Cain and Abel, and when I'm talking about these Bible stories, guys, you would think I was talking about Housewives of Atlanta or maybe EastEnders or something, because the way I break down the word, you don't even think is the same word that you're reading, because I like to break it down so I understand it, right? When you guys hear me talking about Abraham and Sarah, you guys haven't got time for that right now, right? But the point is, I was like, God, I don't sound like them. I don't talk like them. I don't digest the word like them. And he said, you don't need to be like them. You just need to start where? In my shadow. He's not even saying take me the whole, he's saying my shadow. Do you know what a shadow is? The shadow is a reflection, guys. And he's saying, listen, you don't have to be, let me tell you this, maybe this has had a funny turn. Let me tell you this, guys, you need a relationship with your creator, because the relationship you have with your creator is a direct correlation to the relationship you have with yourself, which then impacts the relationship you have with others and the relationship rules that you allow others to inflict onto you. You got to make sure you are secure, you are residing in him, so that you understand how worthy you are and how beautiful you are and how purpose-filled you are. So when you go out into the world, your relationships correlate with the relationships that you have with him. Oh yeah, you didn't see where this was coming. So he's saying in Joshua 1, I'm agree with you always, but he's also saying in Psalms 91 that guess what? You must dwell, you must permanently reside, even if it's in my shadow. I don't even ask for you to do all of this stuff, but just in my shadow, then I'm going to cover you. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to make sure that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. I'm going to make sure that even though they come on the left and the right, none will come nigh you. So where are you dwelling? And how's your relationship going? Well, let me teach you how you can really have a solid relationship. And we got a little time, so I'm going to break this down for you. There are 5 core relationship techniques. 5, guys, 5. And those of you, if I mentored you for a while, you will know this, but sometimes you got to hear it again and again and again. It's going to mean something different to you. And the revelation is going to come to you, and you're going to see something right now that's going to unlock the next level for your life. So the first relationship technique that you need to learn and understand is trust. Number 1 is trust. How many of you could agree that without trust, there's nothing? How many of you have ever had a relationship broken down because of a failed trust situation? Because of failed trust, now we can't do business. Because of failed trust, now we can't be together no more. Because of failed trust, you can't look after my kids. Because of failed trust, we can't be around each other. Trust is one of those things that takes years to build and moments to break. Trust is so important. And I break down trust into 3 components: consistency, credibility, and personal testimony. I'm going to say this quick, so make sure you take the notes. Consistency. I trust you because you are consistent. I trust you because you consistently are a person to your word. I trust you because you consistently get results. I trust you because you are somebody that is consistent. You do what you say you will do. Consistency breeds trust. If you are inconsistent, you will breed a lack of trust. Let's say, for example, those of you that know me for a long time, I run a call consistently at 9 p.m. And so because I consistently run that call at 9 p.m., you trust me to invite your people onto the call. But if I was somebody that would cancel every second, you would not consistently put people on that call because you wouldn't trust that I'd show up. So how can you improve your consistency? How can you improve trust with people? Is you got to be consistent. Have you ever met that friend that's always late? And so guess what you do is you know they're going to be late. So you either tell them an earlier time, because if you tell them an earlier time, you know they're going to get there. They're so consistently late that you don't even show up on time for them because you know you ain't going to be on time. You see, it works both ways. Now, the second one is credibility. Now, I trust you because you're credible. Maybe I trust my doctor because we've had a long-term relationship and I know he's credible when he gives me when he gives me a prescription or when he diagnoses me, right? I'm confident because he's got a degree. He has the credibility because maybe he's got a degree in that area, or maybe he's got some results in that area. People trust, they have the credibility, because maybe you're credible as a role model, okay? Maybe you are somebody that's credible in your field. You've been doing it a long time, so somebody will trust you. Maybe you give good, solid advice, so they trust you. You always give good advice, so I come back to you. What makes you credible? Why would someone trust you? Would they trust you with their family? Would they trust you with their resources? Would they trust you to buy from you? Would they trust you to lead them? Are you the person that I would, that you personally, would you trust yourself? If you came to you to lead you, would you sign up with you, right? Because it's your credibility. What do you need to do to be more credible? Be a product of your product. Study to show yourself approved. maybe you need to take a course. Maybe you need to do I don't know, some kind of work, whatever it is to make yourself credible. Okay, that's going to heighten your trust. When I used to be in the bank, one of the things was my age. People used to look at me and say, get the manager. And I go, I am the manager, right? And so to make myself feel credible, I had to start to make an extra effort to be able to be presentable and respectable so that I was seen as the leader that I wanted to be seen, right? How many of you right now know that credibility is a big thing? Look at the scammers on Instagram right now. When someone DMs you and says, hey, you straight away have to question whether they are credible, whether they are the person that they are, because there's so many scams going on right now. So how do you become credible online? Guys, I'll be honest with you right now. Some of the Instagram pages that I know are real look like scams because you guys don't show up. You ain't consistent showing up on your social media, so you're not trusted. You're not consistent, posting. You're not consistent doing your Instagram lives or doing your reels. You're not consistent. So guess what? No one wants to buy from you because they don't trust you because you're not visible. You see, part of being credible is you have to have results. You got to be, credibility is something. How many of you have heard someone say, oh, I've been here for 40 years. You trust that person knows what they're doing. When someone introduces themselves, I've been in the industry for 10 years. I've been doing this for 15 years. This is all credibility. Even sometimes a title can give you credibility. You hear the word doctor in front of their name, or you hear sergeant. You hear some kind of prestige that brings some kind of credibility to what it is that's happening. How can you become more consistent? What do you need to do to become more consistent? Is it timekeeping? Is it doing what you say you're going to do? What do you need to do to be more credible? Is it that you need to do, maybe you need to take a course, maybe you need to do something, but you've got to decide. How many of you know people that are selling things and they have no idea what they're selling? I've had people selling courses and they haven't gone through the course themselves. They don't even know what they're talking about. You see, credibility is something that people can tell. I'm not going to say the word. They can tell when you are just blagging. I used to be the biggest blagger. I could sell anything. I could sell ice to Eskimo. But I'll tell you this, one thing I learned is in order for me to make sure that I'm credible is I ain't going to be blagging. I want to make sure I know my stuff. I want to be speaking with confidence. You see, a lot of your confidence, lack of confidence is linked to the fact that you haven't studied. You haven't gone really all in. You haven't made a decision to speak over yourself that you will be an expert. That's what credibility is. Becoming an expert, understanding mastery in a subject. And the problem a lot of people have is they want to become, what's the saying? Master, jack of all trades and masters of none. Listen, do you know what it takes to become an expert, to be really mastery at something? It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of studying. So why are you doing 7 and 10 and 5 different things at once? Focus on one thing. Focus on that one thing you want to be a master at, that one thing you want to be an expert at, and just drive your attention there. Become credible in that area. And the third one when it comes to trust is your personal testimony. Let me tell you this, you'll be surprised how you can be credible, you can be consistent, but if you don't have a personal testimony, people will not align with you. They will not trust you. Nikki, what's personal testimony? Personal testimony is sharing from your point of view, sharing something that's happened to you. So for example, I could say to you guys, there was a time when I wasn't consistent. There was a time when I never used to show up. I'm showing you my human side. I'm telling you a story that's connecting with you so you understand. The reason why I'm telling you this is because I've been there. Right? I've been there and I'm telling you from my point of view, transparency would be your personal testimony. Some of you heard me say, my house was, burgled. That's a personal testimony. You hear me saying, 15 years in the banking industry, but I was sitting around the boardroom with people that didn't look like me. I was the youngest. I was the only, that's personal testimony. I'm telling you, I got my new house, my car, my kids go private school. That's personal testimony. That I tell you, my baby father left me, personal testimony. Let me tell you this, the reason why a lot of people don't connect with you and trust you is because you keep all your information to yourself, because you're like, I ain't telling nobody my business. People chat too much. I don't trust them over there. They're going to go leverage my name. Well, let me tell you this. We all know that person that we tell them stuff and they don't never tell you your business. And how do you feel? You feel like you can't trust that person because there's always those type of people. They will sit and listen to your business. They will advise you. And when you get to the end of the year, you're like, I know nothing about them. They've never told me anything about them. And you know what? You know why my mentor and I get on is because we're both transparent. In fact, it was the transparency that brought our relationship closer. The fact that he, you know, despite being a billionaire, could say, you know, that this is where he's at and this is what's going on for him. And I was saying, this is what's going on for me. If I can't connect, I've had mentors in the past where they have all the information. They are consistent. They are credible. They're showing me the blueprints. They're showing me the game. But there was a lack of personal testimony. I didn't get to know them. I didn't understand what was going on for them. Yeah, I could see that maybe they were married, maybe they had a kid, but I did not know anything about them. I couldn't tell their struggles. I couldn't tell anything. And that can keep you so far apart from people. That can ruin relationships. We got to work on being open. Now, let me just rephrase that. It's not just personal testimony. You got to write a word in front of it. Relevant personal testimony. Because if you share the wrong thing, you can actually destroy a relationship. So can you imagine somebody comes to you and they're telling you that they lost their job and, you know, things are really rough for them. And then you turn around and go, you know, I just made 2,000 in my business. Like, you know, things are so good for me right now. Like, you know, my kids are in private school and everything is just amazing. I just bought a brand new Range Rover. Like, you know, you got to make sure that the conversation that you're having is relevant. You got to know and have a discernment of what testimony to share in what situation. You know, once I was mentoring a lady in the bank and I was sharing this very story, and, you know, we were talking about trust and, you know, personal testimony. And she said, Nikki, you know, I've been lashed. I don't tell my team anything. And I said, now it's got to be relevant. And I'm not telling you to share them your heirs, okay? But it's got to be relevant testimony. And let me tell you this as well. A testimony is something that has been completed. The story's ended, okay? So you don't sit there telling somebody the story that's still happening now and there's no happily ever after, right? So you don't sit there and go, yeah, there was a time when I was in 66 grand worth of debt and now I'm in 70 grand worth of debt. And the moral of the story is, listen, you guys laugh, but you'll be surprised. This is what I'm talking about, healthy tongue. You got to speak what you seek, okay? And when you're giving a testimony, you are talking about something that happened that you've been through, that now you have a light in the shining armor. Now you have a light at the end of the tunnel. You ain't going to be talking about the problem, because if you're talking about the problem now, you are actually just moaning. What you want to do is you want to speak what you seek, and your personal testimony is an inspiration to the person that you're talking to or the people that you're talking to. Right? I even had a gentleman that I mentored in the bank, and he couldn't understand what went wrong. And so I went in to observe him. And one of the things I used to do is I used to train and lead people in different departments. And so I was leading this guy, and his department was closing down. So his role was to teach people how to teach their jobs to somebody in India who would ultimately take their job and their office would close down, right? That was his job. He was leading the closing of a department. And so you can imagine the atmosphere in that office. Everyone's working knowing that by the time they complete their work, their job is no longer, and their job is to train somebody in India, their job, and they're out of a job. So in essence, they have a target and a date as quickly as they can to train these people in India. Can you imagine you've been targeted to train as quickly as you can? There's a bonus attached to whoever can go as quick as they can to train their job to somebody else. How do you know that you will be doing it as slow as possible because you want to keep your job as long as possible? And so he was the manager of this department. And so he's gone into that department, and he had 2 weeks off. And so I went in there to observe the way that he was telling everybody else, the next steps. And so he'd had 2 weeks off. He'd just come back off of holiday, and he's in a good mood, nice tan, whatever. And he comes in the office and he opens up. He says, "Hey guys, I've got an announcement to make. Thank you so much for your understanding. Obviously, I was away 2 weeks. I'm going to catch up with everybody and find out what I'd missed over the 2 weeks. Myself and my wife, it was her 40th birthday, and we had an incredible cruise. We spent over £40,000, and I really spent some time with my wife, and we haven't had a break for such a long time, and just to see the smile on my wife's face was incredible. Now you are sharing this testimony in a time where everyone has just been made redundant, and you're telling them you just spent probably three of their salaries on a cruise with your wife. Now, when I'm giving him the feedback, I'm like, bro, man, I know you meant well. He was like, oh my God, I didn't see it like that. Wrong time for a personal testimony. So the first one is trust. And I want to ask you this. I want to tell you this real good. Do you know that your credibility impacts your consistency, and your consistency impacts your credibility as well as your personal disclosure? In order to have trust, you must have all three of them. You got to be consistent, guys. You can be consistent at doing the wrong things, and that destroys your credibility. You can be consistent at doing the good things, and that will enhance your credibility. Will you be consistent at showing up? Will you be consistent at being on time? Will you be consistent at doing the work? Will you be consistent at doing your day-to-day stuff that you need to do now? Consistent on speaking positive. Will you be, somebody was edifying me the other day. I went to an event. I was booked to speak. And when the lady was edifying me, she was like, this woman is the most positive person I know. This woman always speaks life. And I thought that was beautiful. Like, a lot of people edify me, houses, but she was actually edifying my personality. She was edifying part of me. And she realized that that would make me credible. Right? So you got to really understand that your traits, it's not about what you say. I was speaking to Violet at the event. We're talking about her children. Your children are not going to listen to what you say. They're going to watch what you do, and they will duplicate what you do. They will duplicate how you speak. Have you ever heard your children come home and they heard a word at school and they say it and you're like, yeah, where you get that word from? You better reverse that and come back again before I leave your tea out your mouth, right? And so we got to make sure that we are speaking what we want to be repeating. Right? So whatever you speak out your mouth, beware that your children are listening. Beware that they're going to duplicate what you say. They're going to duplicate how you say it. They're going to duplicate what you do. So that's your consistency, credibility, and personal testimony. Put a 777 in the chat if you feel like yes. Okay, I got to start getting vulnerable right now. I got to start, revealing my story. My story needs to be heard. You guys know I'm the king, the queen of telling people to tell their stories. You need to tell your story. The second one is having a positive attitude and expectation. So we have trust, positive attitude, expectation. Positive attitude in all things. One of the things I say to myself is act as you must, not as you feel. Positive attitude and expectation. There's 4 words in that. 4 words I want you to remember: love, care, help, and fun. Love, care, help, and fun. Love, care, help, fun. This is how you show a positive attitude and expectation. Love, care, help, fun. All right? You got to love what you do. You got to care about people. You got to help people and help situations and have fun. If you can do that, you will always have a positive attitude and expectation. I remember one time someone said to me, yo, Nikki, my goal is to earn 100,000 a month. I was like, amazing, let's do it, right? I'm not going to say, oh, 100,000 a month, you want to do it? I'm like, amazing, let's do it. Let's set up a plan. Some of us, we speak negative. We don't even realize it. We must make sure we're having a positive attitude and expectation. When someone speaks to you, how do you respond to them? Do you respond in doubt or do you respond in faith? And some of you are like, yeah, but it's unrealistic, Nikki, or da-da-da. No, right? You see a picture of someone, can you actually just celebrate them and say, oh, that's a really cute picture. I love that. Or you take a picture of yourself and you go, oh, my hair wasn't done though. You pull out all the negatives that you can say about yourself. You won't dare find something positive, because especially in the UK, we're taught to be modest. We're taught to not beat our own trumpets. We're taught to play things down. But we've got to get to a place where we have a positive attitude and expectation about others, and a positive attitude and expectation about ourselves. How we speak about ourselves. Is it in a positive light? Always. And I'm not even talking about the big things like your goals and stuff. I'm talking about your day-to-day interactions. Go through your chats and highlight any negative words that you've potentially said and go, oh my God, I did not realize I was so negative. I did not realize I was so negative. I did not realize that I am so critical of myself. I'm the worst critic of myself. Yes, there's areas of growth. And that's how we say, listen, there's areas of growth, but I'm proud of myself. I did that. Yep, there's areas of growth there, but I'm proud of myself. Do you know, areas of growth is a positive, as opposed to, oh my gosh, I didn't do well. I'm so tired. I'm so stressed. I'm so nervous. I'm so, like, all these negative words. But guess what? We can turn that around. Half glass full attitude, not half empty. Listen, my glass is forever full. And in fact, I don't even say half glass. I say I have room for more water. Like, I have room for more. Like, you see, I don't say half, because half to me is like a shortcut. Like, I don't want half. I want all of everything, right? I have space for more. I have room for more. I'm ready for more overflow. You see, we have to just be very intentional with the way that we speak, guys. So the second one is positive attitude. I'm just being honest, especially if I'm mentoring you personally, you're in my community, I'm gonna challenge every negative thing that you throw at me, because I really want to highlight to us how negative things can creep into our day-to-day when we don't even realize it, right? I have space for more. I have space for more. I have space for growth. I have space for more. I'm excited about life. Things are great, right? The third one, okay, so we've had positive attitude and expectations. The first one we had was trust. The third one is care. Have you guys heard the saying, people don't care what you do until they know what you care, or whatever the saying is? Care is so important. You got to show. How do you show self-care? How do you show you care for others? What do you do for yourself to show yourself that you care? Do you invest in yourself? What's your personal development plan like? Because when your money comes in, I know you pay bills, but how much of that is being invested in your personal development? Nikki, I don't have enough money. I make £600 a month. When you make £600 a month, you can, out of that £600, you can take £10 and you can buy yourself a tappy. You can buy yourself a business card, right, called Tappy. Guys, you're getting free game right now. You can buy yourself a Tappy. Here we go. You guys go online now. Tappy.com. You can buy yourself a Tappy. It's a business card. You're going to invest in yourself. Every time someone connects with you, you don't give them a manual business card. You give them your Tappy and they just tap and all your social medias come up, right? Tappy. This is investing in yourself. You make £600 a month. All you can invest is £10 a month. You're going to get yourself a Tappy, right? Tappy needs to give me some residual checks because I've been promoting Tappy like crazy, right? Nikki, I don't have enough money to start a business. Oh, yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do. How do you invest in yourself? How do you show yourself that you care about yourself? Because you can show others you care about them. I get it. We can move on. We aren't even going on to others right now. We're talking about ourselves. Can you set an alarm in your phone to remind you to care about yourself tomorrow? Can you set an alarm in your, you know, I have an alarm on my phone every day and it says, Nikki, remember you look good. Remember you tan good. Remember everything good about you. I tell myself I'm good. I don't need you to tell me I'm good. I have an alarm on my phone every day reminding me how good I am. Listen, it will my alarm runs off and I sit there for a couple of minutes. I'm like, Nikki, yeah, good up, yeah. Yes, yeah, good girl. Yes, yeah. Right? I have to give myself a pep talk. I ain't waiting for nobody else to give me a pep talk. Right? So how about this? You set an alarm in your phone to remind you to care for yourself every single month. If you can't do your nails, do your hair, buy yourself a little piece of, I know, a nice, I was going to say a piece of cake, but I said a fruit pie, right? If you can't do something for yourself every single week or every single month, something's wrong. You're going to start taking care of yourself. What are you doing in your mind? Who's pouring into you? What do you do to show that you care? And if we're talking about relationship with yourself, then your relationship with others, how do you show others you care? Your interactions with others, how do you show them you care? Someone's birthday, now I'll tell you this, I don't remember everybody's birthdays, but what I do is I put an alarm in my phone so the alarm comes up so I can even remember to text that person and say happy birthday. I have a large network. There's no way on earth I'm going to remember everyone's birthday. But guess what? If it's important to you, somebody said they're going to the doctors. Can you follow up with them and say, oh, how was the doctor? What happened at the doctors? But you ain't going to remember because we live in such a fast-paced world. We have these online digits, these diaries for a reason. Put it in your diary to remind you, if you care about someone, if you care about something, make sure you put it in your diary so that you can communicate that you care. There's a lady in the bank that told me when I was mentoring her, she said, hey, Nikki, oh my gosh, this one hit me. She said she had her team working all through the night. All through the night, they were working to hit a project. And, you know, they increased the deadline 2 weeks early. And so they ended up having to work through the second night. And she said, Nikki, we didn't have the budget to pay them extra. We didn't have the budget to do like fancy dinner or anything. But all I decided was I was going to go to the store and get some cards, thank you cards, and tell them thank you for all the work that they've done, because that's all I could do to show that I care. I said that was great. She sat and she said she had a team of about 40 people. So she sat and she hand wrote the 40 thank you personalized cards to show them that she cared. Now, she said after she got to, you know, to work, she put the cards in her drawer, and her mentor, her boss at the time, sent her an email saying that there was a new project out. So she quickly shared out the new project and got working. When she was having the training with me about care, she told me 3 projects ago, the cards were still in her drawer. She had forgotten to give them out. Now, I don't care that she wrote them. The team don't care that she wrote them. They don't even know that she cared because she did the work, but they didn't see it. People don't care about your intentions. They care about your actions. Okay, we judge ourselves by our intention, but the world are going to judge us by our action. And so you got to judge yourself by your action, not your intent. Oh, I intended to give them out, but none of them didn't know about it. So it was a pointless exercise. The cards were still in her drawer because she got so busy. She did all the hard work, but she got so busy she didn't hand out the cards. So what do you need to do to execute to show that you care? Care is such a big one. Care is, it could be complimenting. It could be just taking that time out to check that someone's okay. Care is such, you know, and there's something called, I don't have time to teach it now, we've got a couple of minutes left, but there's something called the 2 times caring principle. 2 times caring principle, write this down, 2 times caring principle. Somebody tells you something about them and you check in twice, not once. So someone says to you, okay, hey, look, my daughter's unwell. You know, I'm praying my daughter gets better. So the next time you speak to them, oh, how's your daughter getting on? That's 1 time. Next time again, how's your daughter getting on? Now, how am I going to remember all this, Nikki? The alarm in your phone. Have some reminders. Now you say, but Nikki, if you care, you'll remember. No. Caring. The fact, if she did put an alarm in her phone, she would have cared enough to give the people the cards, right? So caring is you care enough to set an alarm in your phone so you don't forget, so that you can go and actually execute your caring. You've got to be strategic and intentional to show people that you care. You cared enough to put the alarm in your phone. So the 2 times caring principle sets an alarm because that person is important enough for you that you didn't want to forget. That alarm is going to remind you to check in twice with them about something that they've told you that is very, very important. Now, here's the last one. No, that's 3. 4. We got 2 more. Okay, I've got 2 minutes to tell you 2 more. 4th is communication. And maybe we'll do a whole masterclass on communication because we don't have the time to do it now. But communication, how you communicate with yourself, how you communicate with others is going to be so, so important. You're listening and observing, how you listen to others. You know, the word says that they hear, but they didn't heard. How many of you listen, but you ain't really hearing people because you've already got the response that you want to give them, or you already have an intention to sell to them or get them to do what you want to do, that you haven't even listened to what they said. So really be intentional about listening. Ask relevant questions. When people are talking to you, really find out information and ask them questions. Here's one about communication. Public praise, private criticism. We ain't even going to unpack that. Some of you will get that on the way home, right? Remember, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And I'm still work in progress with this because I get passionate when I talk, right? But it's not what you say, it's how you say it. We're going to leave that there. And storytelling is a very, very powerful part of communication. Sometimes you don't tell people everything. You share a story with them and let them pick out the clues from the story. And the 5th one, guys, is empathy. A lot of the time we don't show empathy, guys, and that could be the deciding factor why somebody has a good relationship or a bad relationship with you. Have you ever had somebody that they don't even say, oh, no, sorry about that? You telling them that your pet just died, or you've had an uncle that's in hospital, and they go, okay, right, when you're getting back to work? You're like, hold up, I just told you, right? How many of you had a boss like that? Or you've had, somebody who you're working with, or a relationship, and they just have no empathy whatsoever. Remember, empathy doesn't mean agreement. Empathy just means I understand from your point of view. Okay, I'm sorry you're going through that. That sounds like it's tough. I can imagine how you may be feeling before you go into, okay, when you're coming back to work, right? So empathy is a very, very important factor, and we need to make sure that we have that. So there are your 5 relationship techniques. How many of you found that very powerful? When it comes to the power of the tongue, guys, we've got to make sure we have a healthy tongue in this season. Now, in this season, how we're going to have these healthy relationships is using a healthy tongue, okay? Having that healthy tongue. Life and death is in the power of the tongue, all right? So, and they all work together, guys. In order for us to really have powerful relationships, we've got to make sure that we have trusted relationships. We all have that person where we told them something and they go run their mouth and you're like, okay, you can't be trusted. I will never tell you nothing again. We all know that there's some people that have bad communication. How are you going to text me that my grandma's died? That is not the type of communication. I need a phone call, or maybe you come round to my house. Some of you are using the wrong form of communication for what it is that you want to communicate. Sometimes I see a message on my phone. If it's a long, long message, I ain't even responding back. I'm gonna pick up the phone because that looks like a phone conversation. You voice noting things that you should be calling about, right? Sometimes it's a quick thing and you want to call about everything. That's just simple text. So the right form of communication, making sure we have empathy, positive attitude and expectation. And that's all going to wrap up to make sure that we have the good, solid trust that's going to build those relationships. It's going to impact us having our goals and doing all the things that we need to do. Guys, that concludes our healthy challenge call today. Healthy tongue, healthy relationships. I hope you got a whole word from me right now. Go back and read that Psalm 91. Some will come on your left, some will come on your right, but none will come nigh you unless you reverse it and you don't dwell in the secret place of the Most High. Okay, but instead what you're doing is you're changing the destination with your tongue. So make sure you stay positive. Make sure you keep doing what you need to do. We're going to be back here probably the same time next week as well, but keep flooding the chats, guys. Keep doing what you need to do.